Hey, we back. It's the Aztec Legacy Podcast with yours truly, Robert Ortiz. And I know it has been too long. People have been hitting me up over and over. When's a new episode going to come out? Well, guess what? The time is now.
Legacy, 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 legacy.
Again, this is the Aztec Legacy Podcast. Today we got a special guest, Mr. Derrick Lewis, one of the most athletic, most talented, skilled person I ever been encountered with. What's up, buddy? How you been?
Man, I'm living a dream, man. Living a dream, man. Got a beautiful family out here, working with the kids daily. You know, that's my calling, man. So I'm enjoying it.
Why you still look like you back in 2099?
Oh man, my wife, man, she's the fountain of youth.
Good answer.
My wife, she's the walking fountain of youth, man. She keeps me young.
Good answer. Good answer. So just to let you know, so this podcast is about the legacy of San Diego State. I try to focus on just the journey to San Diego State. And then, we touch on a little bit at San Diego State, but I try to keep it focused on the journey to San Diego State. So we'll start off. Where are you from? And what sports did you grow up doing?
All right. Well, I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, the 504 to boot. And I really thought I was going to go to the NBA. Like I really was a basketball head initially. Basketball is what got me into sports. And just all the years of trying to dunk and jump, I ended up with uncanny jumping ability. And so what happened was I started running track. And, of course, basketball kind of faded out. But in high school, I started running track. And because of my ability to jump, I started getting a lot of recognition as a long jumper and triple jumper and stuff like that. And then when I found that I was really topped in the country, I realized that, I didn't have the best grades. So I wasn't going to get a chance to go to college because my grades were not good enough. But I was able to run track for a year. So, basketball and track were the first two sports that I kind of was introduced to. In New Orleans, it's a very culture. The culture in New Orleans is one of music and food and stuff like that. So, I grew up singing and doing all those other things, and I found sports really, really late. So it was mainly basketball and track and field because I didn't play football in high school.
Wow. Okay, so you grew up hooping. Now, what position were you in hoop?
Oh, I'm a natural point guard. I found the art of passing and getting other people involved, and that's really what kind of opened my game up because I wasn't much of a shooter. So it was either I was going to dunk on you, or when the lane collapsed on me, I'm dishing the ball off. So I was really good in assists and just finishing at the rim. My jump shot was not very good at all. Like it was Shaquille O'Neal from 3-point land. I could not shoot it that well, but I was just so athletic and I could get to the basket. So that was my strong suit.
Now, did you ever do any kind of like gymnastics or tumbling or anything like that?
That comes with New Orleans. I was raised right by the French Quarters, and when a lot of my buddies went to the corners to make, on the corner, I would go on French Quarters, and I would go sing on the corner. I'd backflip, or I'd mime. I'd do different things to make money, and then I'd go to the arcade and blow it off. I mean, they don't have arcades anymore. But I'd make maybe $200 or $300 in the French Quarters, singing old songs on the corner or something, and then I'd go to the arcade and just spend all the money because if I brought it home, my mom would go nuts.
That's crazy. What do you mean she would go nuts? Why would she go nuts?
Because she could not fathom that I was doing that. She thought I was up to illegal activities like all the rest of my friends, and she didn't want me begging. She didn't want people to think that she didn't make enough money to provide for me. So I don't want you out there looking for handouts. That's just how she was. And it was just me and her and my little sister. So I would sneak out there and go to the things to make some money.
Got it. And so now that we've kind of, that's a good transition. So in your household, who'd you look up to the most? And how were you? Who was the one that had the most impact on your life?
Well, it would be two people. Of course, my mom, because she was a single mom raising me in the city of New Orleans. But the first person I met that helped me realize that I was different. His name is Jackie Callender. He's the former president of USA Track and Field, and I met him because I went to go pick up a buddy who was in the choir with me, and he was running track for my high school. I was not running track at the time, and he bet me $5 that he could jump farther than me in the long jump pit. So I turned my head backwards. I had some jeans on. I took off and then I jumped. And when I jumped, the guy that was standing there timing his kids noticed how high I popped up off the ground. So he runs to his truck and he gets a tape measure. And I jumped like 21 feet in some jeans and some tennis shoes, you know. And he just was like, "You don't understand what you just done. You know, you really need to look into this." And he introduced himself to me. And he showed me some videos. And I was like, "All right, I'll give it a try." And I joined the track team the next day. And my life changed ever since that moment. That's when sports really took off for me.
That's crazy. Like, you always hear about like stories like that sometimes, just how people get, you know, how God directs people and how people get to where they get to. And the fact that you did that, no warm up, no nothing, just went out there and popped that joint.
Yeah, man. I had jeans on and everything, man. But, you know, I didn't think anything of it. And that's the problem with most talented people, is it becomes so easy to them, they don't appreciate the talent, you know what I mean? But luckily, he was able to let me know, like, you do this, you can change your life, you know. And I had my son, I just had my oldest son in high school. I was just a senior, you know, and he convinced me to try it and to give up my job because I was working for my son, and he convinced me with it.
That's amazing. All right, so high school is basketball and track. So now we got to figure out, how the heck did you get to San Diego State and playing football at that?
All right, so here's how it happened. All right, so that same guy, I was done with track. I had set all these records. I couldn't go to college. My grades weren't good. So I started working and saving money, and he called me and said, "Would you like to go to junior college?" And I was like, you know, why not? I'm not doing it. I'm just working, you know. And he said he knows a really good track coach in California. So he convinced me to go to Sacramento City College. So I saved up my money that I was working as a photographer, saved up my money, bought a car, and me and my buddy drove to Sacramento, California. So I slept in my car for maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, almost a month sleeping in the car, and just going to practice until I met some of my teammates. And then one of the guys had space in his apartment, so I slept on the floor. But when I went to Sacramento City College, I ended up being national champ in both long and triple jump. And my sophomore year, I had a fine mark to qualify for I think it was the 2000 Olympics. Yeah, because I went to 98, 99. Yeah, so I qualified for the Olympic Games and for the trials. And I had 1 semester left in junior college. And I wanted to go play basketball again, but he convinced the basketball coach not to let me play basketball because I was supposed to find a track scholarship. And that kind of made me mad. You know, I was like, "Man, you're trying to control what I'm doing, you know." So I was like, "Okay, I'm going to fix you." So I went and played football instead. And in the first 3 games of the year, like, I had racked up all these insane yards, just yards per catch, because I'm fresh out of track season. I'm a 25-foot long jumper, you know, so the ball goes up, I just jump over your head, you know. So my highlight video, you would see the ball in the air more than you would see me, because it was just throw it as far as you can, and I'd come in the screen later and jump and catch it, you know. And that's how Coach Ted Tollner found me at Sacramento City College, because I led our conference in yards per catch. It was like, and yards per touchdown. It was like 42 yards a catch, like almost 55, 60 yards a touchdown. Like, it was just insane stuff. And that's when I met Coach Tollner, and he came and visited me at Sac City, and that's how I ended up signing at San Diego State.
Damn, that's crazy. So you didn't even have no high school film, no nothing. You literally did not play high school football.
I had 2 routes: go route, post route. That was it. That was it. It wasn't slants. It wasn't hitches. It was go route, throw it in the air, and that's all I did. It was all deep throws. And once I take off to get it, nobody was jumping with me. So I would come down with it, or I catch it and I'll run everybody. I was fresh out of track season.
Yeah.
It was insane numbers of yards per catch.
What's crazy is, I mean, like I got there your senior year, and you know, I got to see a little glimpse of what you were capable of doing. But it's crazy to hear that you were this. Like, I didn't know you were this jumper and track and potentially Olympics. Like, I knew you had that athletic ability, but if somebody asked me, I'd have been, oh yeah, he played football in high school. Of course he did.
No, but I mean, we played in New Orleans. We played in the streets. You had to avoid cars, and not while in the traffic, but the cars parked on the side of the road and stuff. So that's how I grew up playing football. So I could always play. It wasn't a question of if I could play. I just wasn't interested in high school. I was interested in music, to be a singer, or I thought I was going to go to the NBA. Football was nowhere in the picture. But like you said, man, God just put people in your way, and I realized playing basketball and track made me the perfect receiver. I had great hand-eye, I had great speed, and great jumping ability. You know what I mean? And that's what made me the prototypical wide receiver.
Absolutely. And I don't want to gloss over, the music and the hoop, but like he did mention the choir. He did mention some things that I'm like, okay, well, where were you, let's just say, going into high school or in high school? Were you recording? Is it just church? What was the singing?
Anywhere I could see. If it was a talent show, if it was a church, if I traveled around New Orleans singing, everyone thought I was going to be a singer. When they found out I was playing football, it was like, why is he playing football? He should be doing records or something just something to that effect. But my mom said my gift and my curse are the many talents. She said, like, you're good at everything, but when you're going to be great at something, just one thing, you know what I mean? And I guess they say you're a jack of all trades, master of none, you know what I mean? But also to be a jack of all trades means you're better than someone who only mastered one thing, you know what I mean? So I've always put myself in different compartments. I never said I couldn't do something. Like, if you asked me to do something and I didn't think I could do it, my response would never be, I can't do that. It would always be, all right, give me a week or two and watch. I always felt like I could get it. If you could do it, I could do it. I never thought anyone could do something, whether it was gymnastics, whether it was music, whatever it was. If you could do it, I could do it. And that competitive nature in me drove me to want to do it and be good at it,
Absolutely. I was just about to mention that too. All the different talents you have. What is, let's just say, the top two talents you have, and then top two talents, and then out of those two, what is your favorite?
I think my top talent is my athleticism, and that's why I can play so many different sports. You know what I mean? I can play sports I've never played before, and being just as good as, you know what I mean? I just athletically, I can do things weirdly with my body that a lot of people can't. I don't know why, but I can. And if I see someone do it in a few days or a while, I can do it too. That's just kind of the way that I've been. But I would say it's my favorite talent is my ability to write songs. I've written songs since I was like 8 or 9 years old, because I feel like songwriting, you're selling emotions. So I've written gospel songs, R&B songs. Just sometimes I'm writing songs for absolutely no reason. I'll go to a church or I'll go somewhere and I'll hear a voice or I hear a sound or something just triggers something, and for the next 2 weeks I'm writing a song, or it's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to keep thinking about it. 2 in the morning, go to the bathroom, humming it to myself, you know what I mean? So I really love writing songs. If I could just write songs and stay home, I would do that the rest of my life. I promise. I'd stay home, be a song. I'd ghostwrite for hundreds of artists, because I write so many songs. It's crazy. I wrote songs at San Diego State with Damian Gordine and Daniel and all those guys. All those were original songs that, you know what I mean, I could sit down and just write a song. So I think that's my favorite talent, would be songwriting.
I love it. Can we hear anything on anything?
Tell you what, I just posted a video. A kid came in my class playing the bass guitar, and me being me, all the other teachers were obsessed with him because he's walking around with this huge stand-up bass, like a real, like, big cello. I'm the type that, all right, come play something for me. Let me see what you can do.
Yeah.
So he started playing Stand By Me, Okay, I know that song. So I started videoing it, and his eyes popped out of his head because he didn't know I could sing. And now every day he comes in there, he high-fives me. That's a relationship that I built in a matter of seconds, just joining him in song, you know what I mean? So I posted that. So if you want a good song, I would rather you listen to that, because the acoustics are good. It sounds really good. It's on my Instagram, _real Derrick Lewis on Instagram. You can check me out.
This episode of the Aztec Legacy Podcast is brought to you by Superb Sportswear. Shop at superbsportswear.com. Enter discount code Aztec30. Be superb in Superb Sportswear.
Yeah. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand down. Stand by me. Stand by me.
All right, so Ted Toller, he goes, gets you from the from Sac State, correct?
Sac City, Sacramento City College.
From Sac City College, and what was your when you first got on campus? What was kind of the I guess the good, the bad, and the amazing?
I'm gonna tell you what got me. First off, I took all my trips. It was the winter time, so I went to Washington State. It was all snow. Everything was snow was everywhere, so I couldn't really go many places. I went to Purdue. We had to go through tunnels from classes because the snow was so thick. I went to UTEP. Same, freezing outside, right? My fourth trip, I go to San Diego State. Man, girls are on campus riding with bikinis on their bikes and stuff. I'm just like, oh my God, what is this place? How is it hot? How is it hot right now? And I just went on three straight trips of icy weather, you know?
Yeah.
And it was, oh man, I was with Rico Curtis, and he took me to the laser tag thing, and we connected, you know what I mean? And I had such a ball on my trip, and the fact that it's 80 degrees every single day, you know what I mean? I was sold. I was sold. And then when I walked into the lounge, you know, and you see all the jerseys on the wall, Isaac Curtis is actually my cousin. And I didn't know that. And when I walked in and his jersey was sitting there, Isaac Curtis, former wide receiver, San Diego State, I saw that. And I was like, it was like a sign for me, like, oh, I gotta go here. Marshall Faulk went here. Look, my cousin's jersey's on the wall, you know. And I was kind of sold. I was sold.
I love it. I love it. I love hearing those stories. I'm glad you told me that because I skipped over it. I didn't even, because you didn't play football. And it was like a kind of a thing you did out of spite for not letting you play basketball. I didn't even ask you what your recruiting process was like, but I'm glad you just shared that with us.
And Rick, man, I had so much fun with Rico. And, you know, he was All-American. And then I met Jomar Butler, and it was like we just clicked up immediately. And then Bill Hammett was there too, I believe, on his trip. We met and we talked. I mean, it was all perfect for me to sign and go to San Diego State. Plus, I had 3 years as opposed to 2. So when I came out of Sacramento City College, I only did 1 year of football because I was there to run track because I wanted to go to the Olympics. So I had 3 years to play. So I was even more valuable as an athlete with 3 for 3 coming from junior college as opposed to just having 2 years like Ronnie Davenport and some of those other guys.
Absolutely. And, okay, so now to get my question, once you got to San Diego State, you know, what were some of the obstacles you faced just coming in from a junior college? I like to give on this podcast, like some there might be some young guys that are, you know, some might come from high school, but then some might come from junior college. So I like to give, you know, kind of that well-rounded perspective from different places. So you came from junior college, you had 3 years left, but you know, I don't know what the situation was when you got here, the receiver situation. So kind of give us your perspective.
So my athletic ability far superseded my football IQ. I really didn't know a lot about football. I just knew the ball come catch it. You know, if it's 4 of us, jump get it. You know, I didn't know about the defenses, and because at my junior college it was 2 routes: go or post, and the guy's closing his eyes and throwing it as far as he could. So that's where Damien Gordine came in, and that's where some of those other guys came in, and I started learning how to play football and how to get in windows and how fast the game actually was. Because I mean, athletically, one-on-one, I wasn't being guarded. I get off press. One-on-one, I was different in that aspect of it because there was no linebacker there. There was no, one-on-ones. I dominated. But when we got into the team setting, I often struggled because I didn't have the IQ like Damon Gordine had or some of those veterans who've been there who understood that stuff, like Chewy, like IQ off the charts. Jesus Reyes, they knew what was going on. So that first year for me, that was my learning curve. And then my junior year is when I ended up leading the nation, and JR came up, and that's when we really evolved that year because it started making sense to me then.
Yeah.
Actually, I should have came out my junior year. Coach Toner convinced me to come back my senior year. I think if I came out my junior year, I might have got drafted. Man, I had some sick numbers.
Absolutely. That 99 year, right?
Yeah, man. Yes. That's the year I should have came out that year. I might have, because I led the nation. I was over Snoop Minnis and all those guys that got drafted. And Coach convinced me to come back. And my senior year was not what I was anticipating.
Yeah, what's crazy is I feel the same way about my junior year. I didn't have probably a crazy junior year like you did, but it was my best year. And I didn't even think that it wasn't even a thought to come out early for me.
Right.
Like I was just trying to graduate and then football, so that was my mentality. But then after you go through the whole process and then really you go through the NFL, you bounce around, do your little thing. It's like, dang, now looking back, if I would have came out my junior year, I might have been drafted. Because, I did get calls, in the draft and whatever, and they were talking about, we're going to draft you, and then they didn't, and then I didn't get drafted. I still got money, to sign, so that was cool, but it was just like, damn, if I would have came out my junior year, I might have had a better chance of getting drafted.
I remember also I had my son with me, so I was raising my son DeMonte the whole time. So that's why for me, it was a real tough decision because I'm like, wait, I got a kid, you know what I mean? I if I stay and it doesn't happen, then what? You know what I mean? But Coach convinced me that I come back, I get targets, and I get all these different things, and it just didn't pan out like that. Remember Jack Hawley got hurt. Lon was still kind of young, you know what I mean? So I didn't get the big throw because my strength was down the field balls,
Yeah.
And Adam Hall was still just, he was just coming in, so they weren't quite ready. And then Jack was hurt, so my senior year I didn't get what I wanted. But honestly, when I look back on it, had I gotten drafted, I would have been. I don't think it would have been best for me. With my mentality, me not being drafted probably was a good thing. I would have probably been a jerk to my family. I would have, you know what I mean? The money would have changed me. The money would have changed me. I ain't gonna lie. So,
at least you're honest.
Oh man, the money would have changed. So I believe now that it was best for me because now the way I pour into the young people that I'm with is so genuine because I know how small that window is, and I know what they have to do to try to even raise it up and look in it. There's no diving through it because the second you're halfway in, somebody's trying to close it on you, and the second you get drafted, they're already looking for the replacement or the next best thing, and I know that. So when I work with my young people, those are the things that I pour into them. To if you go to college, make sure you're going for the right reasons, and make sure if you're using football for an education, and not just going to school to play football. There's a different mindset in that. You know what I mean? So I try to they're thinking, and I'm using my talent to get what I want out of the situation, not just go there to play football. Because I didn't even. I said I'm going to go to school so I can play football. So my thinking on it wasn't enough that allowed me to excel academically. But had I rewired my thinking and thought about me using my talent to go get a degree, I might have gotten a degree in something else. I might have taken the classwork a different way. My approach might have been different. You know what I mean? And so that's the kind of mindset that I instill into these people, mainly because of my experience.
Absolutely. I think about the same thing. Like, damn, if I would have known that I was going to get into some of the things that I got into now, like my whole mentality, my whole education, my whole path would have been totally different. So I agree. I know it's your break, so I want to get you out, but the most memorable moment at San Diego State for you?
BYU, the catch to put Nate Tamberg in position to kick the field goal to win it. And it's because prior to that play, when I look back, I still go back on YouTube every once in a while, and I find the play. because after I think the kid's name was Poshman, the field goal kicker, makes the field goal. That's how I know his name. I watch it, Rob. I watch it. They named him player of the game, right? And as they're naming him player of the game, he's running off the field. On the screen, I see myself pointing at Nate on the sideline for the kickoff. I was saying, you get ready to kick it. You're going to win it for us. So on the screen, all you see is me pointing. You don't know what I'm saying. But I'm telling Nate, you get ready to kick it. Because if they kick it to me, but they didn't kick it to me. So they kicked it short. We got it. And that's when we were in a trip set, and I ran the seam route. And he threw the ball down the field, and I was able to make the catch to put Nate in position to kick the field goal to win it. And that right there, we beat BYU. That was the biggest moment for me. If they had kicked it to me, I probably was going to score with it. And when Lon threw the ball down the seam, it didn't matter. I was coming down with the ball because I knew what that rivalry meant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it took a while for me to even realize rivalries and different teams. Because remember, I didn't come up playing football like that. I wasn't from San Diego. I didn't understand what BYU and Wyoming and how those games over the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't mean anything until that year when it started making sense. So the passion and desire to beat them is what made me catch the ball for Nate.
Absolutely. That's great. Now, my last question is, if you can make one phone call to yourself at 18 years old, what would you call and tell yourself?
Listen to your mother. Listen to your mother, because everything she said that would happen to me happened to me, even though I made decisions and did things despite what she said. Listen to your mother. And had I listened to my mom, I'd be in a much better situation.
I like it.
Even today.
Well, we can end on that because, shoot, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that could just listen to their mother.
Listen to your mother. And it's because we want to hear what we want to hear, but your parents are going to tell you what you need to hear, whether you like it or not. And we just take it the way we want to take it instead of absorbing the information and asking yourself, like, why would she tell me not to do this? Or why would she? What's the reason behind it? Is it just to tell me no? And there's always the response is always out of love and in your best interest, whether you like it or not. And it took me to become a parent 8 times over to realize that.
Well, you've been blessed 8 times over, so that's amazing.
I'll send you the family photo. You can post it in there too.
There we go. Congratulations on everything. We will circle back. I want to circle back, and the way I want to do it is I want to have you. I want to have like JR. Maybe even we could get like the Gordine. I want to try to get some whiteouts together and do this podcast where it's a whole big group. So I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, whiteouts.
No.
I appreciate you coming on, representing for the Whiteouts. And, like I said, you're the most talented person I ever been around. And, it shows. And do you have anything coming up that we need to be looking out for, musically, anything like that?
No, man. I'm living the dream, man. I'm coaching. Actually, I'm actually moving to it. I'm looking for a head coaching position here in Texas. I decided to leave the school that I was at, just following the voice of God. So I'm looking to get a head coaching position to, impact some more young people and tell them about my journey and help them on there.
That's amazing. All right, so if we have any Aztecs out there in Texas that know of a job, head coach, we don't want this assist. We want head coach. Holla at my boy, holla at me, and we'll make it happen.
I got to. If I'm not the head coach is always going to be threatened by me because I got a lot up here, man. I got a lot. It's tough.
Amen. All right, brother. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. This is the Aztec Legacy Podcast. This is Derrick Lewis and Senior, correct?
Yes, sir. Derrick Lewis Senior.
Derrick Lewis Senior and number 1515.
Legacy. 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 Legacy.